Hello everyone, welcome back to this little workshop. My name is Savvy and today we're going to work on voice feminization and voice masculinization. Please stay muted for the duration of this session. You will have an opportunity to move up on the stage, unmute and practice alongside with me. That's not a real sentence. Anyhow, let's talk really quickly first about voice safety and vocal hygiene. So as you may know, voice is somewhat fickle to work with, but it's also like a very sensitive organ. Basically you have like folds that vibrate against each other that create the sound that your voice is. And unfortunately, these can get dehydrated and very dry quite quickly. So we have to make sure that we drink plenty of water before doing any practice, trying to drink at least 15 minutes before doing any kind of singing or speaking practice. All right? That being said, if you are on any medication, for example, spironolactone, you will end up having more dehydration. I'm not saying stop taking medication. I'm saying try to work around those hurdles that can cause your voice to be more tired and dry. Other things such as smoking or alcohol are not advised to do whilst practicing. Again, these are not great for your body, but body autonomy reigns supreme, so you do what you want with your body. This is general advice. Do not end up hurting your voice or causing vocal damage. Try to avoid doing those two things at the same time. Now, with that being said, let's talk really quickly about what voice is and how voice functions. So, we base ourselves off the PSF model. So it stands for Power Source Filter Model. All you need to know is that we use air to basically set the source sound. And the source sound is basically the vocal folds. They're like little flaps that vibrate. And when you blow air, it causes them to vibrate like that. And so the more air you push, the louder a voice you can get. So we kind of like have to balance out how much air we push versus how much we close or open the vocal folds. Okay? And then the most important thing, when you get your source sound, you can then have it resonate within the filter. So resonate, not quite like two tuning forks vibrating in harmony, more like how the sound is going to bounce around, right? These are some tubes, right? They're like a resonance chamber. Basically, think like ukulele versus guitar. A ukulele is much smaller and it's going to produce a much brighter, smaller sound, whereas a guitar is going to have a much wider body and produce a much darker but also warmer sound. Now, this is the filter. This is what a lot of us refer to as resonance, okay? So if you've ever heard the term resonance or vocal tract size, this is what it refers to. So the way we can do this is by changing the shape of our mouth, the position of our tongue, but most importantly, the height of our larynx. So the larynx is basically where the Adam's apple is. It's around here, okay? You can see it here even better. In the next slide, the larynx would be down here. And so, as you can tell, there's two types of voices. Well, two types, just like there's two genders, right? There's two types of voices. Not really. We will see testosterone-affected voices and testosterone non-affected voices. So that doesn't matter if you are AMAB or AFAB. Hormones, impact people very differently. So here in our case, if you are like me and you have had a lot of testosterone mess with your voice, you might have a really big vocal tract. And a big vocal tract results into a really dark voice. And a dark voice sounds quite masculine and dark. And so by reducing that space, or rather by raising the Adam's apple, raising the larynx, we get a much brighter sound. And that's what we want to be doing. Working with the filter to masculinize the voice, we want to lower it. To feminize the voice, we want to brighten it, so bring it higher. That will cause the overall space to become much smaller. Okay? Now, Now that this is out of the way, we'll do some vocal warm-ups. That's right. That's also part of the vocal health thing. You will want to drink some water, but before you do any of that, well, you do want to drink water before that, but as you drink water, you also want to warm up your voice. You know, if you are to go on a marathon or sprint, you're not going to want to like go without stretching your legs. You're going to end up hurting yourself. So to avoid this, just like running, we stretch our legs. For our voice, we want to stretch or warm up the vocal folds. And so simple exercises we can use are softies, SOVTE. You also can call them VFE for vocal function exercise, or just call them warm up. And these are little silly sounds such as zzz, or which have the function to allow your voice to warm up in a less pressurized and a more gentle space for them, okay? Now that this has been said, why don't we try to do a softie together? I will do an SOVT, a warm-up sound, and then I'll ask you to mimic it. So let's try this. In 3, 2, 1. Very good. Awesome. Let's try a different one. Let's try it with a Z sound this time. 3, 2, 1. Very good. Okay, awesome. So that's how you do some vocal warm-ups. Very simply, very easily. You don't want to like push like where your range is not comfortable, right? Just do it at pitches that you are comfortable with. It's just a way to get the blood flowing, to get nutrients properly absorbed by your vocal folds, and yeah, that's how you do some vocal warm-up. Drink water, do some of these silly sounds, and you're good to go to get started. Now, I'll be taking up stage today 2 people who want to feminize their voices and 2 people who want to masculinize their voices. If you are interested, please raise up your hand. So first off, I'll be having someone who wants to feminize their voices. Okay. All right. Dragon Queen Baby. I think that's the first person I saw. Come up stage. Come up stage. Woo! Applause for Dragon Queen. The yippies are back. Let's go.
Oh, you can't get away from them.
All right. Hello there, Dragon Queen. How are you doing?
Hello.
Hello.
I am doing good. Little nervous.
Awesome. Me too. It's okay. We'll get through this. Yeah. There's like one person in the public. You know, they're just a hive mind. So it's like there's no one. You know, it's cool. You're not. Okay. Anyways, let's try this out. We have 10 minutes starting now. So you are interested in feminizing your voice. Have you done any practice beforehand, or any exercises to work with that?
I'm currently working with a speech pathologist at IRL who's teaching me like voice relaxation techniques and voice strengthening techniques before we get to the feminization stuff.
Okay, interesting. So that being said, have you already seen any videos online, any theory? No, not at all. This is all new to you? All right.
Yeah.
Well then, let us try something. So the way we're going to change the resonance or the vocal tract size is by doing sound exploration exercises. So you all know how to do certain sounds, and these sounds trigger physiological changes. And that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to do some sounds, and these are going to trigger changes in your voice. And thus, we're going to find a position that will grant you a more feminine sound. Okay?
Okay.
Awesome. So, that being said, this is about resonance. So what's you need to know is that when you use your voice, right? If we go back to the PSF power source filter model, we always use all of these three things at the same time. Because, unfortunately, you can't produce voice without breathing. You can't produce voice outside of your head, so it's always going to be affected by the filter. And you can't produce voice without the source, without the vocal folds in the way. That's true, but for the source sound, however, we can modify it. So the source sound is responsible for creating pitch. So what you hear, ah, that's a sound production due to the vocal folds vibrating really quickly against each other. But what happens if you do a whisper? The vocal folds are not vibrating, so you don't hear the pitch anymore, but you hear a sound still. We call this unvoiced or aspirate sounds. And these sounds are really useful because they allow us to only hear the size of the filter. When you hear this, ah, that's a change of the source sound, of how fast the vocal folds vibrate against each other. The higher in pitch, the faster they vibrate. But in the case of a whisper, the vocal folds don't vibrate. So what happens when I do this? Well, that's a change of the filter. That's a change of the resonance or of the vocal tract size. So a dark whisper will be the result of a much bigger vocal tract size.
This is a really big vocal tract.
Whereas a much smaller whisper, or rather a much brighter whisper, will result into a much brighter sound. So this is what I want you to try. First, before we do any of this, let's make sure that your voice settings are set properly. So go to the quick launch menu into your audio settings, scroll down until you find the microphone settings, and make sure that noise suppression is turned off. Once you've done this, make sure that the mic activation threshold is all the way to the left. Okay?
Yep.
All set? Perfect.
Yep.
Now, give me a very gentle whisper, saying something like, ah, pat that cat. Give it a try.
Ah, the fat cat.
Okay, so this is what I heard. Ah, pat that cat. So it's not super dark, like,
Pat that cat.
but it's not super bright, like, pat that cat. So let us try and make that whisper a bit brighter. So I want you to start really dark. Pretend you're Darth Vader dark, like,
Pat that cat.
okay? Give that a try.
Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Awesome. Much darker than your usual voice. Okay, so that was you achieving a more masculine voice, technically, on a whisper. So can we really consider it a gendered voice? I'll let you be the judge of that. Now, let's take that whisper and bring it brighter. We're going to say pat and make it brighter, like so.
Pats.
Pats, pats, pats. Give it a try.
Pots, 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 pots.
Very good. Okay, now that you've done this, let's try and say pat that cat up there. So again,
Pats.
pats, 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 pat that cat. Give it a try.
Pots, 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 that's cat.
Okay, good. So now from there, what we're going to try to do is bridge into a full voice. So as I said before, when you do a whisper, the vocal folds are not vibrating. So it's not creating a voice like you and I are normally using to speak. So to get that to be a full voice, we need to close the vocal folds. And so to do this, we're going to bridge. So bridging is a method that we use to go from a whisper towards a breathy sound towards a full sound. And it sounds like this. See? It's more closure of the vocal folds. Now try it out. Again with that bright pats.
Pots.
Pots. And we try. Give it a try.
Pots. 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 Pots.
Okay, good. So now we had this. So the pitch is around D3. Perhaps that pitch is a bit too low to hear feminizing effects. Well, I'm kind of lying. If you're down here at D3, well, you can technically speak like this, and this still functions as a proper fem voice. But I won't lie, doing feminine voices at lower pitches can be a lot more difficult for reasons that I will explain later. So let us try to achieve a higher pitch. I want you to try and mimic after me.
Ah.
Ah, ah, ah. Good. That's G3. Perfect. So we take that G3 again. Ah.
Ah.
Nice. And let's try this. Ah.
Ah.
Okay, good. So that's reverse bridging, right? You went from the whisper to a breathy sound to a whisper, right? So now try this. Ah. And try to bridge back up to that pitch. Give it a try.
Ah. 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 No.
Okay. So what happened here is that you didn't completely go on the whisper, and you ended up having this. You ended up doing a breathy sound instead of a whisper. So really listen for that difference here. In both of these sounds, you can hear that there's air coming out, right? Leaking through the vocal folds. But we do really want to do the whisper change. Otherwise, how can you be sure that you only changed the filter, that you only changed the vocal tract size, right? So let's go back to the whisper, okay? So now I want to try a different thing. Instead of doing scales up and down every time, that's going to get really boring really fast. We're going to try and instead jump directly up to this brighter whisper so that you can then try to go for it, mimic the position, reset, think about the sound, and go back up to it. So we'll try this. First, we'll scale back up to the bright pat that you had at the very start. And then I'll ask you to pause there. Oh, what? Okay. I ask you to pause there, stay there, and try to memorize the muscle memory, the placement of your voice. Try this out.
Pots.
Pots. Pats. Pats.
Pots. 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 Pots.
Okay, stay there, freeze, don't let your voice drop, think about it, and then relax back down to wherever your voice was, okay? Now, try to think of the sound you made and try to go back directly to pats. Pats. Good, okay, very good. So now you don't have to climb up every time, although sometimes you might want to do it anyways because your brightest sound might not always be the brightest. So make sure that you record yourself so that you're more aware of where your position is, okay? Now let's try and go back there.
Pots.
See? Now this one is darker than your first one. So climb back up like we did.
Pots.
Pots, pots, pots.
Pots. Pots. Pots.
Nice. That one was good. And now from there, pat.
Pat.
Nice. And there say pat. Pat that cat.
Pat. Pat that cat.
Okay, very good. Nice. First step to voice feminization. Pat that cat. Right? Great. So maybe there, what you want to watch out for is for the whisper not to drop, right? At the very start, you had this pat. And then as you said the sentence, pat that cat, it went like a little bit darker to ah instead of ah. So you have the potential to get bright up there. You just have to listen for where the resonance might drop. Record yourself, listen back, do quick changes. Don't like record for like 5 minutes. Just like record like a little sample of 2-3 seconds of you doing this exercise. Listen back, try to modify it. And, you know, like this, you'll like get a better feedback loop. At some point, you might not even want to record anymore if your remember sounds well enough as you practice. Okay, but that was really solid. Very good. So do practice these exercises. Try to memorize the position of the bright pat and keep up the practice. And you'll get there in no time.
All right.
Best of luck with your practice, Dragon Queen. You take care. Bye-bye. Applause for Dragon Queen. Okay, now. Okay. Now I'll have someone who wants to work on masculinizing their voices. Anyone interested in that? I'm not sure if that's a raise. I see someone here over there. Poofy-tastic. You're interested in masculinizing your voice? Yeah? All right, come up stage. Come on, come on, come on. Applause for Poofy-tastic.
There we go.
What a public, right?
What a great crowd.
I know, right? Yeah. Okay, anyhow, we got 10 minutes starting now. Let's go. All right, so you want to masculinize your voice. Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
All right, awesome. Have you read any theory, watched anything, tried any exercise on your own? I kind of want to see where you are at and where you want to go.
So I've tried a few exercises, not that much, to be completely honest. I found like a few online videos on YouTube, mostly about like opening like the inside of your mouth more, like talk like there's like an apple in there or something. Yeah, like lengthening the vocal tract. I've tried a few of those exercises, but nothing too intensive quite yet.
Okay, so I like the idea of lengthening the vocal tract. I'm not too much of a fan of the apple in the throat. That sounds very reminiscent of a vocal technique which we call nodal. It's a fancy word to say you're making like the Kermit voice. So like basically you talk like this. It's a type of constriction that happens when you bring your tongue too far back. And whilst, yes, it can motivate your larynx to go lower, it also like creates a type of sound that you might not have wanted initially. So if that's something that you've encountered, getting that feeling of the apple in the throat, maybe try and stay away from that. That might not be what you want to sound like in the long run. But other than that, lengthening the vocal tract, a good thing. So I bet you've tried some resonance exercises, such as whispers, right?
A few times, yeah. A while ago.
Okay, fair enough. Why don't we try and do this together? So first off, I also want to hear your pitch range. I want to know how low in pitch we can allow ourselves to go, and so that I can target our practice a little bit better. So let's give this a try. Match my pitch. Ah.
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 Good. Ah.
Ah.
Nice. Ah.
Right. Ah.
Oh, nice. Cool. Oh, interesting. Let's keep going. Oh my god. D3. Okay, let's see. Can we go any further?
Probably not.
Okay. It's about the limit. So C3, very, very solid. Okay, that's very low. Have you tried testosterone before? You know, that thing that like makes the voice more masked magically?
Actually, no.
Actually, no. Okay, cool. See, that's what I was saying when like I said, even like it's not the gender at birth that matters. Like we all have different experiences with hormones affect us, and yeah, like you're an example of that too. So yeah, cool, awesome, great. So we are down at C3. Okay, but that was also you doing it at, I wouldn't say it's the brightest voice. Like you're not like doing like a super bright, super buzzy, but you weren't either doing like a so I wonder if perhaps lowering the resonance might help us achieve even lower pitches, which is exactly what we want to do right now. Let's try this out. Match, well, not my pitch. Well, match my whisper. Oh, yes. No suppression, please. And mic threshold all the way down to 0%. Okay. Now let us try this. Instead of we're going to say pat. So we have like a word to reference. Pat.
Pot. Pot.
Pat. Pot. Pot.
Good. Now you want to be really careful there. This is very important. You want to stay on the word pat and not go too dark that you end up saying pot. Not only is it not the same word, but most importantly, it's the different vowel. And a different vowel means a different mouth shape and a different tongue and lip shape, right? And so if we do that, we end up relying on our mouth size instead of our larynx position, right? And that's a problem because on the long run, you're going to want to say different words. You know, different sounds, e, a, o, u, e, which are all different mouth positions, and you can't just rely on the mouth shape for that. So make sure that you don't say pot at the end, but really like a pat. I'll accept like saying like pot, like pop, like paw might be the limit, but if you go like po, like that's too dark, you know? Okay, so anyhow, let's keep going. Good.
Pot, pot, pot.
Pot, pot, pot.
Good.
Pot, pot, pot.
Pot, pot, pot.
Good. Yeah, no, that was really close. That was really close. But that works. That works.
Pot.
And from there, let's say
Pot that counts.
Pot, pot that cat.
very good. And now let's bridge into a low pitch. You were around D3, C3, I believe. Let's see. Oh. Like down here? Cool. Let's try this.
Pot that cat. Pat that cat.
Give it a try.
All right. Pat that cat. Around there.
Okay, so pat that cat. Okay, nice, pretty solid. I do think, however, that you could have gone darker. So I do feel like the whisper that I heard definitely was darker than what you achieved in your full voice. So practicing the bridging a little bit more might really help you here, reach like the full potential of that. We could try a different way. Let's see. Instead of doing a whisper, we could try and tune our resonance directly with our voices. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, because it's a bit of a difficult exercise. But let's give it a try. I want you to match my pitch. Yeah, let's go a little bit lower. Very good. And from there, try this.
Okay.
Okay, good. So, do you feel like you're already at like the limit of how like dark you can go?
Maybe.
Because I feel like you didn't start too bright. That sounds already dark for your voice. Like you're not in like a So I think that you already achieved quite some amount of darkness. Okay, cool. Now let's try and test that on some sentences. We have here some exercises that target different vowel sounds of the English language. So we have o, u, o, e, That sounded like nothing. But let's try and say that first sentence with that darkened masculine sound you had. Let's try this out. So let's try this. Okay, good. From there.
Oh.
It's okay. Keep going. Okay, and from there.
Pot.
Okay, the whispers seem to have caused you to raise back up in pitch. So let's try this instead. Pot. Let's try this. Pat. Pot.
Pot.
Pat. Pot. Pat. Pot.
Okay, definitely. So the whisper definitely helps you go darker. Okay, let's try it again.
Pot that cat.
Pot. Oh.
It's okay.
Pot that cat.
Nice. And can you read that first sentence?
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Alright, I'll give it a shot. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Okay, cool. So that mad brat sat on that flat mat. So you definitely went a bit brighter here. That mad brat sat instead of that mad brat sat. So that's okay. I think like a lot of this is like the whispers cause you to sometimes shoot up to higher pitches. Sometimes your voice on sets really high, like like before going like low in pitch. So I think that the more you practice, the better you're gonna get at this. Honestly, I was so shocked that you were able to go down to C3 just for like Just like for instance, here C3 is like pretty much the middle of a masculine voice, right? So that coupled with proper darkening of your voice will really get you a really mask sound. And I've heard some sounds on pod. I think just that the sentence, speaking a sentence gets you back in your older voice habits to go back up, right? So you just have like to keep fighting it until like it gets lower and you get better at it. And yeah, so like honestly, great pitch range. I'm excited to see what you do with it in the future. Maybe you'll go even as far down as F2, maybe even below, who knows? And F2 is even low for most masculine voices, so yeah, don't worry. Okay, good job. Keep the practice up. Just like I recommended for Dragon Queen before, do record yourself, little snippets, little clips of your voice, listen back. Think about it, analyze it. What did I do wrong? Was it too bright?
Was it dark?
Doing things like that, and then try to modify it, re-record, get that feedback loop going. Okay?
Yeah, that's great.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Poofy-tastic. I don't know how to say that word. Poofy-tastic, Poofy-tastic. Yeah, okay, anyways, thank you so much for coming up stage. Okay, Poof, well, thank you for coming up stage. You're brave. And applause for Poofy-tastic. I'll see you next time, perhaps.
Yippee! Sounds good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, now.
Young Padawan.
I am a little bit behind on schedule, so let's see. I will want to take someone who wants to feminize their voices. Oh god, there's so many hands every time. I took someone from the left. I'm sorry, I'm going to take someone from the right. There's too many people there. Let's see. Okay, I'll go for Maxi Shystar. Come up stage. Come on, come up.
Yay, Maxi!
Applause. The yippies are getting tired, or is it me? There we go. Thank you. Hi, Maxi.
Hi.
Okay. I'm sorry, but since I am a bit tight on time, we'll have 8 minutes. Is that all right by you?
That's fine.
Let's go. All right. Now, Maxi, hello, welcome. You want to feminize your voice? Great. Have you done any exercises before?
A little bit. Just like mainly the dog panting one, if you're familiar with that. I'm also taking voice lessons on YouTube.
Okay, from like trans voice lessons, for example?
Not through the Trans Academy voice lessons. I've watched a little bit of YouTuber named YukoEX.
Okay, gotcha. I do not know about them, but I'm sure that hopefully I don't know them, so I can say what they teach. But I know what I teach, which is voice feminization, masculinization, and whatsoever. Let's not waste any time. Why don't you get started? And is your mic set to noise suppression off? Make sure that it is beforehand.
I believe it's on.
Okay, please turn it off.
Turn it off?
Yes, please.
All right.
All right. And the mic threshold is all the way down to 0%?
0%?
Yeah. So we can really hear the whispers.
All right.
All right. Awesome. Let's try this. So let's try it and mimic after me. Pot that cat.
Pot that cat.
Awesome. Very dark.
Pot that cat.
Now let's make that brighter.
Pot.
Pots. 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 Try it out.
Pot. 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 Pot.
There. Nice. Okay, the last one was really good. Now try this to give me a dark one.
Pot.
And then shoot back up to that high one. Pots. Try it out.
Pat. Pot.
Okay.
Pot. Pot. Pat. Pat.
Very good. Okay, awesome. So that's super bright. Can you say, pat that cat?
Pat that cat.
Okay, so now I hear that there's a lot of tension in your voice, like this. Pat that cat. on the long run, this will cause your voice to get very dry and very tired. So let's try, instead of doing pat, pat, cat, trying to do more of a pat, pat, cat. Let's push less air. Okay? Give it a try.
Pat, pat, cat.
Okay, now again, scaling back up.
Pots.
Pots, pats, pats.
Pot, pot, pat, pat, pat.
Very good. And from there, try this. Pa.
Pa.
Nice, very good. And try this out. Pa, pat that cat.
Pa, pat that cat.
All right, great. Already in a fem voice. Pat that cat. Great. Now, let's try and say some sentences with that to test it out. So, whilst we're there, can you look at the board? Can you see the slide up? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's try this out. So, again, at this high pitch. Ah.
Ah.
Great. And say, ah, that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Ah, that mad brat sat on the mat.
That mad brat sat on the mat. Okay, so you dropped the pitch a little bit and you dropped the resonance a little bit. So let's try and bring it back up again. Let's do it again.
Pots.
Pats, 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 pats,
Pot, pat, 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 pat.
pat, pat, pat. Okay, from there. Pat that cat.
Pa, pat that cat.
Very good. And now say, pat that cat. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on the mat.
Okay, very good. So, that mad brat sat on that flat mat. That's kind of like where you were at. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. So, I know I heard you go brighter when you said pat that cat. Pat that cat. But now you're more like pat that cat. So I think that you're not fully getting everything out of your whisper, of your bright whisper. So this is what we call the gravity. Don't worry, you're okay. So this is what we call gravity of behavior, right? You might be speaking a lot more
Like down here, probably not like this. Like this is like my masculine voice, I guess. Cool, whatever. And so like what we can do.
Sorry.
What we can do with this is, well,
what this implies is that your brain and your voice to brain configuration, or like the brain to voice interface, is very set and tuned on
speaking down here.
So for a lot of the time, you're going to end up, dropping your pitch down, dropping your resonance down, because as soon as you start to speak, your voice and your brain are going like, okay, I'm going to go to whatever I've been speaking with for the past 10, 20 years of my life, And so this is kind of where you want to be really mindful of. Be mindful of the position. Be mindful of the sound. Do you hear the resonance trail down when I do this? Ah, that mad brat sat on that flat mat. Did you hear that? As it went more and more dark. Yeah, exactly. So in your case, it's been more fickle. Oh, wow, there's so many people. And so it's more fickle because you are going to have like smaller variations generally, right? Instead of having that mad brat sat on that flat mat, which is really easy to identify, you'll have like that mad brat sat on that flat mat. And technically, to me, all of this sounds feminine, right? It's just that you go from like a bright feminine voice, that mad brat, to like a much darker feminine voice. But like, this still qualifies as a feminine voice, just like a darker one, right? So it also depends what your end goal objective is for voice. But just be aware that when you do those exercises that you don't let it trail down to a darker sound. I don't think pitch is too much of an issue for you. It's more so like resonance and keeping it up. Let's try something different. Let's go back up to pat, okay? Pat, pat, pat. Pat, 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 pat. Very good. And now, pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Very good. So, pat that cat. So here at the end, it wasn't so much a resonance issue. I think it's just that this is a really high pitch that you're probably like not accustomed to doing, especially if you're like talking like down here at pitches like
down here, you know, like
your habit is more inclined to do lower pitches more easily. So I really do recommend that you do those vocal warm-ups we did at the start, you know, the softies, the vocal function exercises. This allows you to both warm up your voice, but also increase stamina in your vocal range and also explore higher pitches and achieve them in a more easy way. So again, pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Okay, very good. So already you can jump directly up to that sound. That's great. Now what we can try here is the following. Pot. Give it a try.
Pot.
Okay, that was great. What you did there is a modification of the resonance of the vocal tract size on a given pitch. So, that's a really powerful tool because that has you raise your resonance when you are speaking. So you can try things like that, mat, rat, to try and tune your vowels brighter. And instead of using them like on like standalone words like that, you can try to instead do that, mat, brat, sat. Oh no, I dropped on sat. Sat, sat, sat on that flat mat. And this can help you pick back up to wherever your brightest resonance last was. Okay? Just like for everyone else, I do recommend that you record yourself, listen back to yourself. I also do recommend that you practice phonating a bit at higher pitches. Phonating means just using your voice really, like trying to hold softies like or to get more acquainted with higher pitches. And yeah, honestly, like you got one of the you got like a really, really good onset here, like just jumping from like nothing to pat that cat. So that's a really solid thing. Probably your practice is to be thanked for that too. So keep it up, keep practicing. Make sure you practice your pitches and really learn to listen for resonance, right? Subtle trail downs of resonance like that are what cause most of us to lose the overall quality of our voice. Okay? All right.
Alrighty.
Well, good job, Maxie. Thank you for coming up stage. I'll see you another time, perhaps. Best of luck in your practice. Bye-bye. Applause. Yeah. Okay, cool. Now I will have the last person of today, which will be about
voice masculinization.
Who is interested? Okay, Danny Bunny, you're interested? Come up stage. Come on, come on, come on. Applause for Danny Bunny. Okay, maybe I did pick you because you're also a bunny. Maybe I did that. I'm sorry. Next time I'll see like thousands of bunny avatars. Whoops. I'm not responsible for this. Anyways. Yeah, let's go. Okay, so let us get started. We got 8 minutes starting now. Hi, hello. All right. Yeah. Oh, ooh, you're already starting here.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, let's do all of this in like a mask voice. Yeah. You're right. That's a really good idea. Oh geez. Oh no. It's getting worse.
All right. Hello. Welcome. I'm Savvy. You're Danny. Great.
Yes.
Very similar names. Love it. You've already been practicing your voice quite a bit. I can hear.
Yes, I have. That's
Awesome. That's great. Hell yeah. Okay. So what are your voice objectives in terms of voice?
Well, I want to have like a masculine reading voice that still is a bit like soft, I suppose. Like I want to have a breathy quality to my voice, which I'm putting active effort into doing right now, but naturally it doesn't.
I hear
really
it. I hear it.
happen. Yes.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to like have like a breathy, like gentle, soft mask voice.
Yes.
Like I'm really getting that vibe from you right now. Yes, exactly.
That's
Quaint,
what I'm trying to go for.
lovely. I love it. It's great. Yes,
Are
it's
you
amazing.
making fun of my accent a little bit?
No. Do you have an accent? I didn't even notice. I'm so sorry.
No,
I work with many
I'm
people,
joking.
so I tend to mimic people's accents. Part of figuring out what's going on with your voice, right? So, okay, so
No, like I'm merely like mimicking the main vocal qualities of your voice, which is this specific pitch, the fact that it's like really soft, and the fact that it's also slightly breathy, so it kind of gives that airy quality to the voice. So I have to make a disclaimer on that type of voice.
breathy voices are great sounding, but they can also be very tiring on the long run. Think about it this way. I'll just show you what I mean by this. Actually, no, I'm gonna take an even better one for this. Cool. Does the slide play for you, Danny?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so as you can see, this is talking about the vocal fold mass. So in your case, you're on like a more light, more thin vocal fold mass,
Right, because like you achieve like a softer quality. If you didn't achieve a soft quality, you would sound a lot more like this, a lot more boomy, more buzzy, right?
but that's not your objective, is it? So
Yes, it's not.
you're doing things right. Perfect. Now, the thing is with breathy voices is that instead of having an airflow like this, we have an airflow like this, which is like
A lot more air, which creates a more breathy voice, right?
and unfortunately, what it causes is that if you have thin vocal folds, that means that some of that air is leaking out. That's part of what a breathy voice is. And so the thing is, it's going to be trying to the vocal folds to do breathy voices for a long time. So perhaps you have noticed that ever since you do that voice, you might have some vocal fatigue. It's to be expected. So obviously, you do what you want with your voice, right? But just know that you might be more prone to vocal fatigue because of breathy sounds. There's levels of breathiness, right? Like,
If you speak like that, it's going to be a lot more tiring than if you speak like this.
right? It's the amount of air that you push and with how much strength you do with that. So, okay. First of all, your kind of voice objective is not like, it's not the most common one, right? Like most mask voices that people want to achieve are generally like a more full sound. So what prompted you to go for like a thinner voice? Just you like the sound of it?
Yeah, it is partially I like the sound of it. It's also like I'm non-binary, so I don't really want like,
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha.
like super
Yeah, you're not
Like,
you're not trying to
I'm
be
not
like
really, like a-
one end of the spectrum.
Or the other one.
I love the
I
other
don't really
one.
want to be like just super horrifying. Like
That's so funny. You are capable of doing this.
Yeah, I don't want to be like
Oh, yeah,
horrified.
actually.
Yeah. Oh, let's go.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Like if I like try if I'm not like putting active effort into the breathiness, this is actually what I would try to what I would end up sounding like if I try to masculinize my voice, because
Yeah,
I'm
like-
dedicated,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, you have like a lot of. I can tell you have like a very good breath support.
Like can be loud and like fill the air and the stage, and welcome to our piece today. Welcome, Danny.
So yeah, it's a bit too intense. Got it. So like, you sound very close to your objective. So you're already holding the breathy quality. You already have quite a dark voice. I don't know where you're starting from anyways, but don't think it matters here. I mean, like...
my femme voice sounds more like this. Like my, I guess, untrained voice would sound
untrained
more
voice?
like this.
Got it. Yeah, okay.
Pretty much.
Okay. So, like, aside of the breath quality, because I feel like you already have it you have it down quite well. Like, is there anything else that you'd like to work on? No, like, for real.
Well,
thank you. Ooh, nice, like that.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah. Sorry.
So there's a couple of things that I worry about when it comes to my voice. First of all, it's probably just because I'm very self-conscious, but I worry that I sound like I'm putting too much effort into it. Like, I sound fake.
What's the problem with that? No, you don't sound fake. What does sounding fake?
I am cringe, but I'm free.
Cringe is dead, everyone. It's okay. Anyways.
Yeah, that's probably just like a mental thing that I have to set aside. But another thing that I find that I struggle with is maintaining this voice when I'm outside of like a practicing scenario. I find that whenever especially when I'm playing games with friends and such, I get really like, yeah,
right,
I get really, I'm not fully actively thinking about my voice, and then I start sounding less ideal, and I really
like more
listen back to my voice. Yeah, I listen back to my voice, and I sound like this, and I'm like, oh gosh.
Like your voice like shoots back up to like, oh my god, oh no, not this voice again. Cool.
And I'm just like sobbing.
Oh no, I'm like sobbing. Oh no, okay, cool. So, okay, so yeah, like maintaining your voice, that's something that, I can't really help with. It's something that like you have to like practice your voice enough that your body's like, that's my default. I go for that. Like during the first month where I was trying, when I was using my femme voice 24/7, right? I remember I was waking up like,
oh God.
Now I wake up a lot more like, okay. Right? And that's mainly due to the fact that like my body understood that like, okay, I've been using this voice 24/7 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, now several years for me. And of course, like it becomes your default. So, the more you practice at it, the better and easier it will become. Okay. Another thing is when you're out and about and outside of practice, I think you have to think about the consideration of the limits of your voice. Breathy voices do not do well with loud sounds. It just doesn't work, unfortunately. And that's mainly due to the fact that, like, if you're like breathy, you're already leaking air through the vocal folds. And so if you try to be louder, then you have to like be more forceful, and that's not gonna sound really nice, right? Not only that, and it's going to be extremely tiring to your voice. The breathy, loud sounds, if you don't use like a specific techniques like thicker vocal folds, typically, or not really thicker vocal folds, like false vocal folds. So metal screamers basically do breathy sounds all the time, but they basically use a set of vocal folds, which we call the false vocal folds right here. It's what creates like older types of voices.
Like this voice.
Or this voice. Or like a witch cackle. Or like some beatboxing sounds are caused by those false vocal folds, right? So that might be a way that you could maybe project a more breathy voice. Like instead of like a hey, you could do like a hey, like with like more false vocal folds. If you want to say on a breathy sound, eventually, like that kind of soft voice that you want to go for is a lot more for indoorsy, the same way that like this voice here is like, it's decent outside, but like if I'm out and about, I'm probably like gonna talk like with a louder voice, a voice that can fill the room more. I'm like pretending I'm in a setting of like in a city and it's loud and like, yeah, let's go there. I'm not going to go like, let's go over there, because that voice just doesn't project properly. It's not loud enough. You probably know this, being a theater kid and all.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah. That's the advice I got for you. So maybe just try to think of a different type of voice that could be useful for like outside settings where you can like be a little bit louder. And the fun is not in having one voice, but multiple ones, right? So yeah, I think that the voice objective that you set to yourself is very good. It does not sound fake, not to me at least. And since you're non-binary, you are currently defining what non-binary is, like, thank you, we need voices like that to exist and, change the norms of voice perceptions. So yeah, I think you already got like a very solid voice, at least in terms of your objective.
Like, you're like pretty close, like what you want, honestly. I don't think it sounds fake or forced. Just keep it up, keep practicing at it. It will become more normalized with time as you keep it, as you keep using it. Yeah, let's go. And I really like that. It's so gentle on the voice too. Like, it's so nice. As long as you're not too breathy, you can sustain that for a long time. But yeah, that's pretty much what I got to tell to you for you. So yeah,
Thank you so much.
I hope that I answered your questions. No worries. You're welcome. All right. Well, Danny, I'll maybe catch you in another lesson workshop. Perhaps you'll have different questions. Who knows?
So. It's like 2
but anyhow,
a.m. right now.
It's like 2 a.m. It's like 8 p.m. here. I'm getting starved. Okay. So anyhow, thank you, Danny, for coming up stage. I'll see you another time. Bye-bye. Applause for Danny. Awesome. This workshop was brought to you by Yippee Incorporated. No, not really. This lesson was brought to you by Trans Voice Academy. Thank you to all staff for being here and making this possible. My name is Savvy. I also teach voice lessons on my own Discord server called Scientifically Augmented Voice. You can join that Discord at discord.gg/smalldbwr big QMV, or you can just contact me on Discord at SavvySav, just like above my head. So yeah, before moving on to properly finishing this lesson, Shay,
hello.
Any questions from the Discord or from the Twitch?
We just have 2 questions. The first
Got it.
one is, do you have any exercise ideas to expand vocal range or sound better in M2?
Softies, VFEs, vocal function exercises. Basically the warm-ups that we do at the start, right? So I didn't do a lot of it, but just using your voice with those exercises is a great way to explore that range in a gentle manner. First, to get the blood flowing and getting the configuration properly. So, I'm not gonna like wake up and just go for it's not gonna sound good. I'm probably gonna want to like and then from there, like start phonating, perhaps like getting away from softies. So like, yeah, just string scales up in M2 in your higher range. Can help get warmed up and get that configuration right. And then you can move on to maybe vowel sounds, gentle vowels. Oh, and then I don't know if you're singing something. I don't know. Yippee, 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 yippee. Right, I don't know, whatever you do. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just vocal warm-ups or softies, SOVTEs, sounds that help alleviate the pressure on your vocal folds, basically. All right, hope that answers your question.
All right, last question. What's the pitch range for a masculine voice supposed to be? And can you demonstrate, or is there any way to find out what the range should be? I think you might be muted.
Sorry. Okay. As I said, I made up this range. It's common socially gendered ranges. It's just an example so that you have a reference point for you to practice in. There's no such thing as like a masculine range or a feminine range, you know, like gender is constructed and so is pitch ranges. Although I guess depending on how much testosterone you were affected by, you might have longer, heavier vocal folds that like to hang around lower pitches, and if you have had less testosterone exposure, you might have thinner, shorter vocal folds that might want to hang out more around that range, okay? So yeah, you can take that one, for example, F2 to F3. What's a mask voice anyway, right? Let me check here. Okay, so
so like this is like a masculine voice around A2. It's quite a soft one too, so maybe like I'll thicken it up a little bit to like get a more full sound. So this can be like a mask voice in like what is like the middle of a masculine range, right? You can have masculine voices that go way lower than that, of course, like this is an F2.
Excuse me?
Like you can like maybe talk down here if you want. Like this would like qualify more as a lower masculine voice, right? And on the opposite of that spectrum, you might have
like maybe like more higher masculine voices, you know, which I think are voices that are just as nice to listen to as, you know, low masculine voices. So these also work. The ranges are infinite. You can even go like higher if you really want to. And like you can talk up here if you want. It's quite a voice. I guess some people in the non-binary, like amongst the non-binary folks might like that voice perhaps. I don't know. It's like very something. I don't know. Voice is weird. So yeah. I recommend generally F2 to F3 is where most masculine voices tend to hang around. But depending on your culture, on where you live, on what language you speak, you might have very different ranges. So I found this to be the most worldwide. Okay, I hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much.
All right, awesome. No questions from Twitch at all? We're good?
That's all the questions we have.
Okay, thank you. Awesome. So then, let me wrap this up. Yeah, my name is Savvy. I teach voice feminization,
voice masculinization,
and even some stuff such as human beatboxing with sounds such as... If you're interested in learning any of this, you can always shoot me a message in Discord. I teach private lessons or public lessons, and public lessons on my Discord over there, which I said talked about before. You can come listen in there for free if you want. Yeah, if you want to do a private lesson or a public lesson, send me a message and I'll be happy to talk scheduling and pricing over there. All right, if you have any further question, do not hesitate to ask in either my Discord or in the Trans Academy Discord. Of course, there is the voice training channel, chat for that, text chat for that. So yeah, don't hesitate to ping me there or ping the other voice instructors. And yeah, you've been a lovely crowd. Thank you for the yippies. Thank you for being here. And I'll be catching you all in the next one. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This is sponsored by Yippee.